Na munitoe kimwaka mpya si ndio? Okay. This is the press conference called by me personally. My press statement has been called following an earlier statement that I made last year on 2nd of January 2020, and I made certain propositions and positions, and I brought out various issues, most important on the democratic space of this country, and security, and the question of the constitutional amendments that have taken the center stage in the whole of last year. But also I reflected on the state of the economy of the country at that time, and police brutality. I today want to still reflect back on some of the issues I raised then, and possibly say where we are in my own opinion. And therefore it's a written statement, and I will proceed to read. I'm addressing myself to Kenyans and His Excellency the President Uhuru, who is the head of state of this country. Mr. President, Your Excellency, sir, Happy New Year to you. I would request that you reflect on your duty to defend the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya before proceeding with the clamor for constitutional change, previously referred to as the BBI. Dear Kenyans, Happy New Year to you. For me, it is a hazardous well-being moment and not a constitutional moment. I therefore proceed to say as follows. Today I want to reiterate what I said in January 2020, on 2nd of January 2020, which has been vindicated. President Uhuru Kenyatta, I said then, and I still reiterate, remains the single biggest threat to the Constitution, democracy, devolution, and economy in this country. He has chosen the destructive path of either his way or the highway. President Kenyatta has done everything possible to subvert, undermine, outrightly disregard a progressive constitution of Kenya 2010. Mr. President, your declaration of a constitutional moment has no justification or constitutional reasons, and the exercise is an ultimate final assault strategy on the 2010 Kenya Constitution and democracy. I want to state it here without any pigmentation of doubt that any debate on the Constitution of Kenya 2010 amendment must be divorced of the 2022 political succession. If construction of the Constitution or reconstruction of the Constitution is going to happen, it must be based on the national consensus, discourse and debate, public participation, as well as informed, comprehensive audit of the Constitution of 2010 on what has been and has not been implemented. The Constitution of Kenya 2010 audit process has been started by the Auditor General, and that process has come up with a report. And for me, we need to be inclusive, participatory, and people-driven, contrary to Mr. President, Your Excellency's assertion that this is an urgent constitutional moment. We need instead to salvage the economy, survival, livelihoods, and the dignity of the Kenyan people. The referendum is being forced upon Kenyans on a convoluted, confused, patched up document which no public participation was undertaken in the normal sense of our requirement under the Constitution. It is not only politically manufactured, consent being sought from smaller groups than the larger public. but also misguided, reckless, and irresponsible. It is informed by baseless, incoherent, ill will, self-political interest that justifies the process in their own statements or in their own strategy and plans. The constitutional amendment and referendum are not informed by the need of the country or the people of Kenya. It is intended to enable the formation of enclave ethnic-based political coalition to manage 2022 succession and have political offices created for the ethnic barons without considering on the serious economic and financial consequences of their actions to the wider good of the country. It's a political madness, crazy, you can call it so. Your Excellency, Mr. President, sir, is cleverly attempting to walk the path of changing the constitution to retain control of state power, while even outside, through a facade of democracy, is not present. We must vehemently reject this new tactic. Your Excellency, sir, Mr. President is trending on a very dangerous path of militarizing the state, killing devolution, and indeed other independent offices to serve the pleasure of the executive. I say this in mind with the judiciary that has been compromised. Devolution has been compromised. It has been weakened and captured and the parliament has been captured. The judiciary itself, as an independent office, has received an onslaught that I'll talk about a little later. I want to warn the people of Kenya to bring to their attention that they will collectively, or we shall collectively bear the brunt of the executive's democratic regression. Freedoms, real and imagined, are going to be curtailed, even as economic deprivations and inequality deepen. For Kenya to remain a truly democratic country where the rule of law thrives, our president must accept the reality his term is coming to an end. He must ensure a peaceful transfer of power in 2022 as he goes home. And we will want to support him in that particular exercise as members of Jubilee and also as Kenyans. Kenyans will regret for a long time if they allow the executive or His Excellency, Mr. President, with the help of hired political mercenaries, and there are several of those people who are praying around there, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga being one of those people, Mr. Murathe, Mr. Atuori, and others that you have seen. Mr. President attempt to force a constitutional amendment is the highest level of betrayal of the oath of office that he took, and the constitution he swore to defend and protect. He should not be allowed to extend his power, his stay in power, in whatever form, whether direct or indirect or through proxy. It is a moment that His Excellency the President admitted that he has made costly economic and physical policy blunders or mismanagement. In the last 7 years, we have seen it all. His Excellency cannot blame or pass the buck to anybody. The buck stops on his desk, in his office, that he swore to defend. There is no hiding the fact that the economy and the financial status of the country is in turmoil. Our country is in an enormous health care crisis. Unemployment rate, the cost of living has hit the roof. You have seen the teachers and the doctors seek equipment, PPEs, medical equipment. The teachers are asking for masks for the students. They are also asking for better terms. The doctors are asking for insurance cover for themselves and their families. And we know that these are necessary for them to be secured before they can secure Kenyans. Banks are beholden to the government bonds and bills at the moment. The living costs are climbing higher. Uncontrolled borrowing by this government, debt distress, and unregulated government spending is a painful in a painful declining economy. Agriculture sector is reeling under the very low productivity that we have seen. We had promised 1 million acres of irrigation. We have not done that. Private sector investments are at a worrying low level, if not negative. The education of our children and their future are very bleak. County governments cannot receive their revenues in time or on time. Devolution is headed to shut down, with crucial services almost fully crippled. This is the reality, Mr. President, and you need to accept and take responsibility. The COG, Council of Governors leadership has not helped the cause for devolution. They have been part and parcel of the choirs that have been singing BBI that they needed to support the constitutional amendment for more funding. Kenyans must know that we do not need to change the constitution to be able to raise the share of devolution from 15% to any other percentages. What we cannot do is that we cannot go below 15%. But as the constitution is today, as written by Kenyans, we can give 30%, we can give 35%, I believe we can go up to 50%, in so long as the functions have been costed and that they are supported by way of costs stated and declared. Therefore, that cannot be a good reason why the governors have been in the choir team for the change of the constitution, while they have gone for long periods without even the 15% of the devolution share that they are entitled. Kenya belongs to its entire population. The future of the country is a collective future. President Kenyatta, His Excellency, has served his term in office. He must let Kenyans shape and decide their destiny without authoritarianism. The judiciary, as an independent arm of government, has also suffered executive onslaught by reduction of its budget and failure to respect the institutional structures of promotion and appointment of judges, and failure to uphold the rule of law. Refusal by the executive to obey court orders, and include orders requiring that the executive takes its mandate and role of appointing 41 judges that have been processed by the JSC. These are very serious constitutional onslaughts that have occurred under the watch of His Excellency the President. The executive has also turned the police service into a police force, back into a police force that takes orders from above, instead of executing their mandate as prescribed by the Constitution. An independent police service. The IG does not seem to understand his duty in an independent office created by the Constitution. This has resulted in the constriction of the democratic space and the freedom of expression through disruption of meetings and police brutality against diverse voices, meetings that do not appear to be having the same code as that of the deep state or the criminal state. Finally, I want to state that the Hasra's life has been turned upside down by COVID-19. Hasras have lost livelihoods, jobs, and businesses. The Hasra is still devastated and desperate for assistance to build back better. I agree with His Excellency the President that we need to reflect, change our attitude, and rebuild back better. It cannot be rebuilding back better by telling us to still take the same line of the BBI. Hasras have responded to the Building Bridges initiative. They do not want to hear anything about BBI, at least where I have gone and where I come from. The BBI is a mockery or a laughing or like a laughing stock at Hasras' sufferings. Hasras have clearly stated that the Constitution of Kenya 2010 captures their imagination, aspirations of all diverse shades of the Hasra, who are suffering from historical marginalization, historical economic deprivation, and dehumanization. The Hasra Nation movement linchpin is the covenant underpinned by the Constitution of Kenya 2010 based on the principles of devolution, Article 43 on social and economic rights of Kenyans in the Bill of Rights, Article 201 on equal society and public expenditure that guarantees equitable development for all Kenyans. It is a moment for economy to grow from below. It's a turning point time for the Hasra. It's a moment for pesa kwa Hasra, pesa mashinani. We need to encourage and support pesa kwa Hasra and pesa mashinani. The Hasra movement is based on economic democracy, defending the Constitution and the rule of law, rejecting authoritarianism and forces of constriction, forces that come with force without encouraging conversation and discourse. The majority of Kenyans want to access equal opportunities, and they do not want powers from above to be the stated authority. It is a departure now from the elite obsession with the mobilization of coalition on tribal basis or ethnic basis. Negative ethnicity has been a challenge for this country, and the Building Bridges initiative was expected to overcome that particular issue. But from His Excellency's own words, he feels that by allowing the constitutional amendment and creating 5 senior executive positions, then you will share power among several other ethnic groupings. What about the balance of communities? 41 minus 5 communities. Kenyans are not interested, in my assessment, at this particular age and time, in those kind of arrangements. Kenyans are interested in accessing resources, business opportunities, job creation, good health, access to universal health care, good infrastructure, and of course, democracy deepened through our constitutional structures. It is a Hasra's time and moment to chart the country's destiny. The Hasra, I'm speaking to them, form the bedrock of this country's economic production and productivity. The movement's political and economic agenda is fundamentally different from the traditional socio-economic and political setup. It is about the ordinary people, small-scale trader, small-scale farmer, the hawker, the mamaboga, the low-working groups of people, the salonists, the kinyozis, the Mjengo workers, Kadogo economy, Juakari, artisans, musicians, mechanics, matatu industry, whose daily hustle remained invisible yet as the major drivers of our country's economy. These groups have suffered onslaught, evictions without the rule of law being observed, taxation forced on them without any reference to Parliament, and even when Parliament rejects, we find that the executive overbearing with an appetite for more money to the executive, more money to white elephant projects than more money to basic small-scale businesses for Kenyans. Hustlers are determined to rebuild their lives, and they are speaking, and their voices will have to be heard through effective devolution of power and resources, realizing local development and quality service delivery at the basic lowest unit, going all the way to the ward, achieving economic freedom and human dignity, and addressing biting inequalities and iniquities. The case for inclusivity that the Right Honorable Raila Odinga and His Excellency the President have talked about may be true, but have not been captured by the BBI spirit. Inclusivity is not just about political power. Inclusivity means ensuring that all gender is included in the country's discussion, that the lowest business, the lowest person is able to feed, is able to take their children to a decent school, is able to return home with an income, avoiding unnecessary taxation, unnecessary intimidation by the police and other government personnel that are supposed to serve Kenyans. Many bottlenecks, including bureaucracy, has continued to be a drawback for the youth who have to go and apply for jobs. Experience is required, 5 years, 10 years, good conduct. I don't know, name it, this license and this license. Transport costs have gone up. I think these are the things that His Excellency the President should also lead the country to turning attention to. Your Excellency the President, the drums of BBI have been beaten, and your presence has been felt in those in the beating of the drums. What has not been felt by Kenyans is the direction the country is going towards uplifting the lives of Kenyans, towards ensuring that Kenyans are removed, shielded from deprivation. Thank you very much. Happy New Year again, Kenyans, and His Excellency the President.